Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. You've joined the presentation listening using your computer speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join over the telephone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed for you. You'll have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into the questions pane of your GoToWebinar control panel. You can send your questions in at any time during the presentation and we'll collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. It's now my pleasure to introduce your first presenter, Otman Elbergi. Otman, over to you.
Hello and welcome to this webinar. Today's webinar will be about vocational training opportunities in Morocco and how to approach the market. This webinar is in a partnership between UKTI Morocco and the British Chamber of Commerce for Morocco. So first we will Mr. Faiza Amro from the Ministry of Education and Vocational Training will be talking about the government strategy for vocational training in Morocco. Then she will be followed by Mr. Saeed Cohen from the OFPPT, who will talk about the role of the office in developing the vocational training in Morocco. And then Mr. Badria Shat will talk about 6 universities and vocational training for UK organizations in Morocco. So now I will introduce you to Mrs. Faiza Amro from the Ministry of Education and Vocational Training.
Thank you. So first of all, before I start my presentation, allow me to thank the British Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to participate in this webinar. So the outline of my presentation goes as follows: an overview of the vocational training system and the strategic lines of the vocational training system. For an introduction, I would like to say that everybody knows for any nation to sustain its economic and social development and be up to the challenges of globalization and local and foreign companies competition, it needs to be armed with a very complete and competent workforce. Thus, the importance of vocational training, indeed being endowed with a plethora of political and geographic advantages for which it is praiseworthy, Morocco has made significant strides in different sectors. To maintain this development and further encourage both national and foreign investment, Morocco has established an effective vocational training system able to produce the required qualified skills for the productive sectors. Being the main lever of the national economy, vocational training has always been the primary concern of the Moroccan government, not only because it contributes to developing national wealth, but namely because it is, besides education, the corollary of the socio-economic inclusion of the population. As to the objectives of of vocational training, they are summarized in the following: satisfying the needs of the company's skills, promoting the youth employment, and improving the employability of workers. As to the main actors of the training providers in vocational training system, we have got the Ministry of the National Education and Vocational Training, and it's the governmental authority in charge of establishing and implementing the national training policy. We also have the OFPPT, the Office of Vocational Training and Work Promotion, and it's the main public training provider in Morocco, and it works under the tutelage of this ministry. We also have different sectoral ministries as agriculture, tourism, handicrafts, fisheries, energy, mines, youth and sports, other private training sectors, and we also have NGOs and professional organizations. As to the training modes of vocational training, we've got 2 types of training. We have the initial training and the continuous ongoing training. The initial training has 3 training modes: residential training, dual training, and apprenticeship. To provide you with an idea about the organization and access systems, I would say that the Moroccan vocational training system offers several diplomas with the respective conditions of access, starting from apprenticeship, which offers access to people who know how to read and write, up to the specialized technician, whose access level is the baccalaureate. Starting from this level on, the system of bridges has been established with the Ministry of Higher Education to ease the access of vocational training graduates to higher education, such as Bachelor in Vocational Training, Engineering, Masters in Economy, or Masters in Management. Quickly, concerning the indicators of vocation training, we have 332 training courses, 1,921 training institutes, including 539 public, more than 400,000 trainees, among which there are 40% women, more than 158 laureates. So after external efficiency, we managed to conduct insertion surveys 9 months after the graduation. The rate, the national rate, is 64.4% 9 months after the graduation, and 76% 3 years after graduation. Quickly over some achievements and limitations of our system. So we have managed to diversify the levels and modes of training. We have managed to cover all the sectors and regions of Morocco. We also managed to constantly adjust supply to demand and so on and so forth. Despite all those achievements, we still have a low attractiveness of the system. It's not sufficiently inclusive system. We have an insufficient matching of vocation training to job demand. We have a limited role of the company in the training process, a limited supervision of the evaluation of the training policies, insufficient governance, and efforts still need to be made on the development of the reception. Sorry, and efforts are always being made only on the reception capacity, to the exclusion sometimes of quality. So that's the need to develop a national strategy to make the vocation training system meet the expectations of the economic and social development in Morocco and enhance the value of its human capital. Our vision, or our new vision, is as you may see it on the screen, a qualitative vocational training everywhere for all and throughout life, for development and enhancement of human capital and for better competitiveness of the company. This vision has 3 targets: the citizens, the companies, and the state and local authorities. I prefer not to go into details concerning this slide, so I go straight to the strategic lines. In the outset of the first act of our new strategy, entitled, it is entitled Inclusive Training, this act, a national authority in charge of vocational training, aims to make a more open system and more sophisticated, socially and economically inclusive, mainly since vocational training has become a constitutional right to all citizens. In fact, as you may read here on this slide, the 31st article of the Constitution stipulates that we have to mobilize all the means to ease all citizens' access to vocational training system, to improve or to enhance the value of human resources and the value also of the people in all regions. So we have achieved by extending the beneficiaries of vocational training to new populations while consolidating the current ones. So the populations include employees of companies adhering to the Social Security Fund, non-salaried workers, people with special needs, detainees, ex-detainees, and the disabled, employees threatened with the loss of employment, 10 to 14-year-old people, young people aged 15 and above, and graduate job seekers and graduate job seekers. In the same vein, this second measure concerns developing more synergy with the vocational training private operators to absorb more of the demand through the complementarity and synergy between the public and private sectors, by improving the attractiveness of the investment of the private sector, strengthen partnerships for efficient private sector, and improve governance of the public and vocational training system. This second slide is about the second act of the vocational policy is related to establishment of a dashboard, or we may call it a system of identification of needs and building vocational training offer. And it's mainly focused on the sectoral studies which we carry out. And this system is based on tools currently available, such as sectoral studies and data collected from the High Commissariat Plan, for the purpose to have to our disposal data which will allow the observation and monitoring of the economic and social demand, which is essential to the steering of the vocational training system. This observation and monitoring is also fueled by data collected from the National Employment governance. Always in the same context related to the enterprise at the heart of the system, the state has granted several incentives to investors to ease their access to investment. Indeed, companies which meet some of the following criteria are eligible to the following advantages, which means that if the state participates in expenses related to the purchase of the land with the limit of 20% of its cost, it participates as well in the external infrastructure expenses within the limit of 5% of the total amount of the investment program. The enterprise is also exempt of import duty and value-added tax on capital goods, equipment, and tools. The government covers also vocational training fees within the limit of 20% of the cost of that training. This is to say that the benefits provided above may be combined without exceeding 5% of the total amount of the investment program. And this might go to 10% if the region is suburban or rural areas.
I'm really sorry to interrupt, but is it possible that you could just speak a little slower, as some of the audience are having a little difficulty keeping up with you? If you could just speak a little slower for us. I'm sorry to have interrupted.
Sorry. Okay. So concerning some direct training aid systems, the government has also made at the disposition of the beneficiary enterprises, namely in some emerging sectors like automotive, aerospace, electronics, and offshoring. So these have benefited from some advantages. It doesn't mean that other companies cannot, other sectors would not benefit, but these are the first that have benefited. So the objectives of the training aid is to help them successfully recruit their human resources through the development of their skills, meet their needs for ongoing training of their employees, and the state contribution to ease access of ongoing or continuous training to enterprise personnel varies according to the profiles. It varies between £1,540 to £4,620 for automotive sectors. It varies also between £1,400 to £4,200 for the aerospace and electronics sectors, and varies also between £840 to £4,550 for the offshoring sector. Another major act of the vocational training system is the improvement of the quality of training, which is articulated in the following sub-axis: the conservation of the company as a privileged training space, professionalization of the pedagogical and administrative management in basic and advanced training, and the institutionalization of the institute's project, that continuous investment in improvement of quality. We also have a new experience in APT approach. We also develop we have also another mechanism, which is the development of skills for better employability. It means helping the beneficiaries or the students learn more languages, namely English and French. The creation of a national evaluation repository based on the competence directory. This slide tackles one of the most controversial issues related to vocational training attractiveness and the ever-persistent stereotype that has considered always vocational training a system for backbenchers. Thus, the two departments of education and vocational training have merged in one ministry, which has created more synergy now and complementarity between vocational training and general education. And there are some in primary school, middle school, there are some programs that have been introduced in the primary and secondary school education to sensitize and make students more aware and conscious of the importance of vocational training. We have introduced also vocational baccalaureate to enhance the professional way by giving more choices to the baccalaureate. We also this has also helped to establish bridges with the higher education, as I mentioned earlier. We also have the National Certification Framework Project, which is a structuring project to ensure the credibility of qualifications and promote national and international mobility of trainees and workers. And we have created new levels in the education and training system. Last but not least, this slide is going to highlight the vocational training governance as the last act of the strategy, which has focus on strengthening the public-private partnership. And through this, creating a new generation of training institutes whose management is delegated to professional branches of value-added sectors, or of priority. This partnership is further focused by, it's further reinforced through creating apprenticeship training centers inside of companies, and more is done to enhance partnerships with NGOs, local authorities to train, to provide training to trainees from low-income households. A new generation or a new model of institutes has been established. It's a public-private co-investment, if you may call it so, and it is managed by the private sector and will be developed with the private sector investors. Another new model, and it's based on agreements that will be signed with accredited private institutes for the realization of part of the objectives of the training map. And these two experiences are new and are very interesting for private investors. I skipped this slide. I skipped the slide, and I'll go to the last two slides if you don't mind. 1 minute? Okay. So we have also strengthened the role of the region in vocational training system in the identification of the needs of the region in terms of vocational training, which means that in the short term, the region is going to carry research and analysis of the demographic demand and the social inclusion on a regional scale. It's going to be involved in the identification of the socioeconomic demand, and in the medium term, it's going to identify socioeconomic needs of the region, planning, career guidance, and training implementation, and more funding and operating costs of the public vocational training institutions will be delegated, if you want, to the region. My last slide is about the promotion of cooperation with African countries. And because of the Morocco has been cited by many international organizations as a successful model for skill development, and Morocco is increasingly approached by friendly countries to share its experience. And this cooperation has allowed Morocco to support projects carried out by Moroccan economic actors in African countries, foster Moroccan investors to create VT institutes in African countries, strengthen partnerships with the VT institutes, exchange experience and best practices, increase the number of foreign trainees in VT facilities, and train African trainers. Organization as well of international forums in Morocco on the development of vocational training system innovations as well. And thank you.
Thank you for this rich presentation about the government strategy and action to develop the vocational training in Morocco. Now we move to Mr. Said from the Office for Vocational Training and Employment of the Promotion, who will talk about the role of the Office in vocational training in Morocco.
Hi. Good morning, everybody. This is a presentation designed to give you an overall view about the major activities of the Office of Vocational Training and Employment Promotion, which is the major actor for economic and social development. In terms of governance, the Board of Directors of OFPPT comprises representatives from the state, employers and employees, 28 members. Our major financial resources come from essentially from what we call the vocational training tax, which is tax paid by all the companies and which represents 1.6 of the workers' salary payroll. And we have as well our own resources, which come from the registration fees which are paid by all the students who follow their training in vocational training schools or PPT vocational training schools. And third, the government subsidy which is given to OFPPT each year. So the vocational training tax represents 50% in our financial resources. We are a public institution with legal personality and financial autonomy. We have three main scale missions. The first mission is to meet employers' labor demand and needs, skill shortages, and improve the company's competitiveness. Second, ensure the upgrading of workers and support entrepreneurship through business creation for young people. Last but not least, the third mission consists of enhancing the employability of young people through skill development and qualifying curricula, leading, of course, to medium and highly skilled occupation and certification of young people. OFPPT exists since 1974. It has 41 years at the service of companies and young people. We cover 90% of the public training supply. 10,754 collaborators work for OFPPT, including, of course, 1,539 part-time trainers. 436,000 students follow their initial training in the academic year 2015-2016. We have 10 regional directions, and each regional direction manages a certain number of vocational training schools. The biggest one is the Casablanca regional direction. Training is provided in 300 trades, including 103 qualifying training, and I will come to qualifying training to explain what qualifying training means. We manage 345 vocational training schools in Morocco. A large coverage, of course, of the economic sector, 300 trades, as I have already mentioned, 168 trades in initial training, residential training, 17 trades in professional baccalaureate, and 103 qualifying training. Training at the Office of Vocational Training and Vocational Training is provided in 4 main levels. The first level is what we call the specialized technician, which is the highest level, and the duration of the training in this level is 2 years. Training in this level is open to young people whose age does not exceed 36 and who hold the baccalaureate diploma. The second level of training is what we call the technician level. The technician level, training in this level is open to young people who have the level of baccalaureate, but not necessarily the baccalaureate. And the third level is what we call the qualification level. It is open to young people between 15 and 20 years old, and who have followed their education in the educational system for 9 years. And the lowest level is what we call the specialization level. It is open to young people who have followed their training at the educational system for 5 years. So this is the lowest level. More than 133,000 trainees in qualifying training. So qualifying training is special training, and the purpose behind implementing this kind of training is to fight, of course, the problem of unemployment of young people. People who hold a diploma but who have difficulties to integrate the job market. So a strong growth, as you may notice, of the training supply. The number of vocational training schools in 2001-2002 did not exceed 184 schools. Now we manage 345 training vocational schools in order to respond to the requirements of the Moroccan economy. The same thing applies to the number of students. The number of students did not exceed in 54 and 247 students in 2001. Now we have 4,036 students following their training in our vocational training schools. So an important increase of the training supply, as you may notice, between 2003 and 2008, in order to, of course, to respond to the government demand in terms of the needs of the workforce for the Moroccan economy. So our objective is to reach 1 million trained young people by 2015. We provide a training with intended to adapt to the economic needs. So 27% of the training at OFPPT vocational training course is provided according to the alternative system. This is the equivalent of what we call the dual German system of training. Training is provided, adapted, of course, as they are all designed to the economic needs. We provide as well what you call training in evening classes. So 97% of the registered persons are in the levels of specialized technician and technician level. 80% of beneficiaries are subject to the Vocational Training Act, about which I have already talked. So 60% of beneficiaries work in the sectors of ICT and services. We support economic projects. Our role as well is to accompany all the major economic sectors in Morocco. So support for global businesses in Morocco and structuring projects. We accompany the emergent plan in Morocco, which consists of adapting training supply for industrial ecosystems, training of human resources necessary for industrial platforms, transport and logistics as well. We support the integrated logistics strategy. We train human resources necessary for upgrading transport sector, and we train 65% of the manpower necessary for the achievement of the hospitality industry and Korean contract 2015-2020. We support the infrastructure projects launched by the country, adapting the training provided to the needs of the industry. So we work in close partnership with the industry. We work for the industry, and we produce young people for the industry. So we work in close partnership with the industry. They participate in the process of training from the beginning to the end. Evolution of qualifying training, about which I have already talked. So this is a kind of training designed to meet the needs of companies on the one hand, and improve employability of job seekers on the other hand. We, OFPPT, has supported programs to business creation, and we set up in 2007 a trade which is designed to young people who would like to set up their own business. So in this respect, we have established 60 operational offices, 2,828 job holders were trained, 1,605 businesses were set up, and 71% of entrepreneurs are OFPPT graduates, that is, students who are part of their training at OFPPT vocational training schools. 8,025 jobs were generated. We accompany as well all the young people who have set up their own business, because not all the businesses created survive, and in this respect, we pay close attention to accompanying all young people who have set up their own business. Actions developed by OFPPT in favor of companies, so different kinds of services provided, specific training, inter-company training, engineering of training, counsel for hiring, pilot action validation of acquired experience. So important programs are underway with different departments, Moroccan departments. We offer as well a training destined to disabled people. So 49 vocational schools were developed in this respect in collaboration with Magnified Foundation for the rehabilitation of prisoners. So 9,015 training places are provided. 38 projects including 10 mixed training centers in partnership with Magnified Foundation for Solidarity. So the pie chart shows the number of students trained in this respect. We developed what we call as well training by mobile units, and these units more from are designed for areas, for non-urban areas, of course, and the 50 boarding facilities are offered with 6,000 beds. OFPPT attaches as well paramount importance to the development of the quality of training to cater, of course, efficiently to the needs and human resources of the national economy. We have established what we call skills development centers, and these centers are designed essentially as posts of expertise, technological and pedagogical survey, training and upgrading of trainers, and engineering of training. Generalization of the content of courses is one of the missions of these centers. We professionalize our trainers. We generalize the skills assessment. We have adopted for more than 10 years now a certification strategy, 23 vocational certified schools set up. Our integration rate of young students is satisfactory. It has reached 27%. So we have won the national prize for quality. Our training is recognized, and our skills and competencies of our graduates are recognized by the company. Our development plan revolves around 4 dimensions. The first one is support structural projects. The second one, develop vocational training at the local level. And the third one, support disabled people, develop entrepreneurship and employability is the last, promote employment is the last. We give as well an important, great importance to development of self-help cooperation. We have positive accomplishments in this respect, following, of course, the Royal Guidelines for genuine solidarity with African countries. So 35 countries have developed cooperation with OFPPT within the framework of bilateral cooperation and through cooperation with the Moroccan Agency of International Cooperation. 40 agreements were signed between OFPPT and vocational training operators in the African countries. 1,825 trainees from African countries were hosted by OFPPT between the periods 2005 and 2006. We offer a wide range of sections and programs for African countries. Missions of vocational training systems, audit missions of vocational training systems in African countries, training of trainers, training of technical and educational staff, and continuing training, and fact-finding missions. Development prospects with the African countries for more efficient development of self-help cooperation. We intend to expand self-help cooperation to African English-speaking countries, develop triangular cooperation as a new mode of cooperation, explore the possibilities of acquiring financial resources with donors from the implementation of bilateral and multilateral cooperation projects. For a sustainable involvement of initial training, in order to strengthen the support of African countries, we focus on priority areas, the development of their vocational training systems, engineering of training, training of trainers, and technical educational staff. We intend to provide by 2017 1,000 places or nationalities included under the 2000 school year. Create vocational training schools in African countries in order to develop proximity and availability of skilled human resources in those countries. So following the last mission visit of His Majesty the King, we have signed an agreement with 4 countries in Africa in order to construct 4 vocational training schools, sector-oriented vocational training schools. For the development of continuing on-the-job training, support the development of facilities and training technical programs for continuing training and mechanisms to address the growth needs in this area expressed by African companies, both public and private. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen, for this excellent presentation about the Office for Vocational Training and Employment Development. Now we'll move to Mrs. Rashad from City University. We'll be talking about opportunities for UK companies in vocational training in Morocco.
Thank you very much. So I will talk about obviously the opportunities for UK organizations within the vocational training in Morocco. I will take you first within a global vision of SIST University in Morocco, and then I will tell you our experience within the involved more market and specifically within businesses vocational training. So, few facts to not bother you with a lot of data that are important in my mind for different reasons. The first fact I would say about SIST British University in Morocco is that we actually represent already 35 different nationalities. So that's something you should bear in mind when you are thinking of investing in Morocco for the simple reason that we are representing not only Morocco as an education platform, but we are an African platform within a globalization approach. And this is very important. So if you come to teach in Morocco, you'll be basically teaching international students and teams. That's the first point. The second point is that obviously we are offering a very high quality level because of our experience. We are an associate college of Cardiff, Metropolitan University, and they have this experience within years, and we are offering this expertise in Morocco that we will adapt within the specific needs, and that's a very important point again. I think if I compare to maybe French education in Spanish, I would say that it's very important to bear in mind that you can't actually impose a specific education without taking on board the context rather than true. And this is something we learned, and this is something we definitely can be flexible about. The last point I would say is that our goal is to lead our students, but also employees from different businesses in Morocco, and I'm talking Moroccan companies as well. It's to lead the team and our students to go through obviously the best academic experience, but mostly to go through a practical business cases. I think this is something that we really need to work on and to help with and to assist. I will go through a few facts about SIST British University, some of history. It's actually very interesting. We started this very successful story in 2001 in Casablanca, and we were one of the first. It was the early stage for us to even think about teaching English as a first language rather than second. So we knew the challenges, and we knew the perspective and the perspective within Morocco as international platform in that sense. So we moved from Casablanca to 2001 to Rabat and Conte in 2015, and we are also building language campus, which will be one of the big people. We are expecting to have about 2,000 students in Marrakesh. We're building a bigger campus in Casablanca, and we're expecting to have 1,000 students. So we are working on the live and collaboration with we have two goals in Morocco. Is to first of all make sure that we offer the best education for our students, to make a real, practical, concrete link within aspects of business needs, and this is maybe crucial. I'm not going to bother you with some data. Just want to show you that actually, if you look through all our campus, the percentage of students from foundation year to MBA are actually as interesting whether in Tanja, Rabat, Casablanca, or Marrakesh. The reason for that is because international education are expanding massively, dramatically.
Thank you. Please go ahead. I can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
So, second point is relation between this British university, and employment. What do we offer? Actually, we offer a very high quality academic courses, but obviously a vocational training for businesses. So we are with them and we offer them very specific needs, tailored and customized within any specific teams in Morocco. We have also seen, obviously, an extension opportunities for personal and career development in Morocco. And I think for us, our unicity and our objective is to think that we are here in Morocco not as an extension of European companies or departments, but Morocco is a proper market for us, and we need to go through the specific rules with it. So we're not going to impose a European way of thinking, but it's going to be the opposite. We're going to take the Moroccan experience and teach it internationally. Now, we also support staff in different training, and I'm thinking marketing, I'm thinking also HR. I will go through a business case quickly with you, because I think you are patient enough to listen to all of us. An interesting business case would be Tanger. Okay, why Tanger? Because it's my first experience in Morocco, and because that's I can be an expert of, and I can take you through this very easily. So, as I said, we understood the needs as being assisting, and I insist on the term of assisting. A foreign trade investor can be the best supplier. We have a market and businesses going on. Everything has been developed for years. The lack and the need and the opportunity will be on assisting. That means infrastructure, going through different businesses from anything, any different sort of nationality company we need. That means recruitment. This is a very important point. Businesses are struggling to recruit, so if you can offer businesses within that line, that would be perfect. Also, don't forget that you need, if you want to understand the specific needs, to understand actually the problem of national education system and ministry. This is very important. We are here to adapt something, not to convert or to change anything. So let's go back to Tanger. Very exciting, very important business case for me. I will start with the free zone. So Tanger would be there, as I said, like 2 years ago, 3 years now. We went to the free zone. So free zone, for the people who doesn't know, is actually 350 companies. They're international, they work within different businesses, they come from different industries. So we went there with the idea of helping them and teach them purely English. Now, the needs were completely different. reaction was absolutely massively urgent to them to get their 50,000 employees trained in English for the linguist business side, obviously, but their wives, their kids, they understood that actually it's a whole new dynamic of a social life rather than just businesses. So, as I said again, Tanger, for the one who didn't know, is also a touristic area. So we're working online with tourism offices within their new plan to actually inform, train, any structure aligned with tourism in Morocco. And this is very important. English, it's actually the first goal for all the businesses in Morocco, Moroccan and international. Now, the change was dramatic in Tanger because only a year ago it was Spanish and it was French and that was the Monaco. And you can see in a few months' time how quickly every school had developed their own internal way of actually constructing and building the relationship with different companies. Okay, so as I said, I will insist again on the keyword for me, which is supplier, partner, rather than coming and imposing a specific way of thinking. This is a key success. Opportunities, let's go through opportunities very quickly. First one, obviously, English, but not purely English as a language, but English within vocational training. I'm thinking again within globalization vision of Morocco. So we have students who are very clever, that are capable of speaking 4-3 languages naturally. And rather than struggle trying to recruit from other countries, we need to make a link between businesses and the actual stuff that we have ready for them. The benefit from just businesses to do that as well is obviously that Moroccan will understand and will give you and add up within your investments the skills that you need to understand the specificity of Moroccan market. Now, second opportunity I can see very easily, and we had a lot of demand for that, is supplying content. Businesses tend to forget that content is huge needs in Morocco. And it's new, and there's a lack, so feel free to invest on that. I'm thinking also, obviously, supplying HR and marketing strategy. Marketing needs to be where the business is. We can't afford to have a big campaign, marketing campaign, coming from Europe within some subtitle in French and or Arabic. I think it's going to be a good target for the Moroccan markets. It just doesn't work this way. Last point, I would say offering, and this is a key, and I would love to offer the partnership with everyone here today, OFPPT and the Ministry of Education, to work on offering a high standard level of business networking. This is a need for us. So any company who's able to do that would have a massive market to be installed in. Now, after what I said, I would like to say quickly and to end my presentation that we are working on a project, which is the International Career Center project. So because we've seen all these needs and this lack, we would like to work online with the Ministry of Education if they offer to do so, to actually work as a private structure that will recruit worldwide staff for Morocco, but that will be actually a partner and funded by the Ministry of Education, because we need to go through online with them within their specific teaching to their students. Now, conclusion, Morocco is going to a dramatic change economically. As you can see, it's positive, it's all good for any investor, but it can't be seen as just one market that will be just an extension of Europe, as I said before. It's your platform for Africa. Any successful story in Morocco will be very likely to work with any linked country in Africa, French-speaking I'm thinking, but also English-speaking countries. For that reason, the success story of CIST for me was based upon collaboration and fusion between the Moroccan entities and a high level of international and British experience within the vocational training. And this is a key success. I will end there. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Badria, for this presentation about CIST British University and the opportunities in vocational training in the Moroccan market. Now we'll move to the Q&A session.
Thank you very much. And our first question here today is from Richard. And Richard is asking, what are the Ministry's actions to develop the workforce skills?
Okay, thank you for the interesting question. So to answer this question, I would say that the involvement of the professionals in the active training, that is, I mean here, in the whole process of training, starting from the vocation training planning, as I said earlier, until the delivery of training to evaluation, is worth mentioning here. What I mean by their participation in planning is that they are members of the steering committees instituted to carry out research studies, what we call sectoral studies, that help us, that we carry out regularly and that help us determine the workforce needs in different sectors and enable us to design the training offer in this respect. It provides us with quantitative and qualitative data that helps us prepare the content of training, I mean the pedagogical content. These partners or private partners I talked about elaborate also with us the tools of the observation of the work of the trade market. What I mean by these tools are the what we call les répertoires emploi métier, répertoire emploi compétences, employment and job directories and competence directories, if my translation is right. These partners are members of the Vocational Training National Commission. They are also members of the provincial commissions, members of the regional commissions and sectoral commissions, and members also of the Administrative Council of the OFPPT, as mentioned by my friend. In terms of training, the private sector is an important vocational training provider as well, and considered by the National Charter of Education and Training to be a public partner that offers a public service to absorb the ascending needs and demand, namely that the vocation training, as I said earlier, has become a constitutional right. So indeed the government authority in charge of vocational training offers lots of incentives to improve the attractiveness of the private training providers. I mean here there is a contribution, a financial contribution that is provided to the underprivileged households to improve their solvability and to be able to access to the private sector training. We also experienced that I'm quite proud of. We've managed to create new generation of institutes. We have delegated lately the management of some institutes completely to the professionals by making them in charge of selecting the trainees, delivering and offering the training, and facilitating these trainees into insertion as well, or integration, finding a job, I mean. We have also managed to professionalize the pedagogical mechanisms of training trainers. I mean that we are going to make training of trainers one of the major axes of development of vocational training in Morocco, because first of all, to improve the quality of training and reduce the scarcity of trainers, namely in some fields, in some specific sectors and specific domains, by creating the National Center for Vocational Training, which is going to be created soon. And thank you.
Thank you very much. And moving on to our next question here from Samuel. Samuel is asking, are there any opportunities for collaboration with British organisations specialising in VT?
Thank you for this question. What I would say about opportunities for collaboration with the British organizations specialized in VT has been already mentioned by my friends present here. The opportunities, I think, are there, and I would like to share with you an experience related to this British experience with the Moroccan Department of Education and Training. There is a project entitled GEM, I spell it G-E-M, that has been developed by the European Commission and the education training foundation with 9 countries in the region, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, and so on and so forth. The aim of this project is to improve the education and training governance systems, which have been diagnosed to be very much centralized. The objective is to make governance shared between the national and regional authorities, with the association of employers, trade unions, and training providers, universities, and ministries in charge of education, vocational training, and also higher education. This will induce and ease the involvement of all these actors in the planning and implementation of and evaluation of the vocational training system, and make vocational training geared by demand rather than geared by offer. This project contributes to the governance reform that I've mentioned earlier, induced by the 2021 strategy. There is a pilot experience that has been successfully conducted in this concern in Tangiers, and a regional committee has been created and conducted, and it has conducted this project. And this new experience has now been passed down or been handed down to the British and the Spanish sponsors, who will carry on the same experience in a new region called Susmesa. So the new 2021 strategy also has also opportunities that the British, investors or British universities can also share with us. I mean here that I would like to draw your attention to the fact that our new strategy has 6 axes and is available in 103 steps. The implementation of some of these projects has started already, but this strategy remains an ambitious and flourishing project for the education and training systems and for the nation, particularly in terms of employability. So the realization of all these projects that I mentioned earlier of the strategy requires technical assistance from donors and sponsors who have always accompanied Morocco in various development and reform strategies. We may cite among the current sponsors of the ministry, the United Kingdom, to start with, the World Bank, the European Union, the agency, the French Agency for Development, the LABAD, GIZ, Canada, Belgium, and so on and so forth. So this is only to say that the opportunities to enhance cooperation and collaboration with the British organizations specialized in vocational training are here. There are also opportunities also to start businesses or open new vocational training universities or schools to accompany the Moroccan enterprises in developing soft skills. And it's one of the major axes of our strategy. We aim to help our workforce have more developed and better skills, in better soft skills. What I mean here by soft skills are the mother tongue language, foreign languages, namely English, and the focus actually is on English now, and French, to make this workforce more betterly cut to the size or to the shape of the needs of these companies, be it Moroccan companies, local companies, or foreign companies. And thank you.
Thank you. And moving on to our next question here from Mohammed. Mohammed is asking, do we need to get approval to recognise our qualifications in Morocco, as the qualifications are already recognised by OFQUAL in the UK?
Well, we will get more information about this question, and we'll come back to him, to Mr. Mohammed, later.
Thank you very much. And okay, thank you, Atman. And moving to our last question that we have time for today, and that is from George. George is asking, how does the Moroccan government plan to make the private and public organisations more involved in the VT process?
Okay, thank you for this question. So my answer would be concerning this interesting question about how to make private and public organizations involved in VT processes. is already answered in my presentation, but I'm going to go through it very quickly. Just as a reminder, so by making the professionals become permanent members of the national, local, regional, sectoral committees, as I mentioned earlier, they are permanent members of these committees. So these private and public institutions or vocation training providers, they are members of these committees in which decisions are made in terms of planning vocation training, implementing vocation training, and evaluating processes of the act of training in itself. Meaning that they are themselves, we can even say that they are substitutes of the governmental authority in charge of vocation training. So by enhancing the implementation of the enterprise itself in the act of training, by supporting them financially and technically, and in the creation of their own training centers. I mean here that the Moroccan government is providing financial and technical assistance to enterprises, foreign or Moroccan, to create their own centers of training. And these centers are called in French intra et inter-entreprise. These centers are, we may call them in English inter and intra, meaning inside and between enterprises centers of training. And these, they enable companies to recruit from inside, train inside and recruit very quickly from inside the people they need to improve their competitiveness, you may say. So another act I would like to add here is that by encouraging the development of apprenticeship and dual training to make them reach by 2021 50% of the training offer, again, private enterprises and NGOs and associations are offered, financial assistance in this concern to develop and open such centers, and also we encourage them to develop even more, whether they are associations, NGOs, or private or public, centers. We provide them with this technical and financial assistance to start to offer either dual training or apprenticeship training to satisfy the needs of the job market. The last experience I would like to share with you in this concern is the models of institutes, of the new models of institutes I tackled earlier, and they concern the fact that the government has built and builds today and equips training centers and provides them with even with equilibrium budgets for a period exceeding 5 years. It might go beyond 5 years. And it delegates the management exclusively to the professionals. This is revolutionary to my point of view. This is a new experience that has been led in aeronautics, in the field of automotive. We have 3 or 4 centers. We have also in La Mode, the Centre de Mode, fashion center also, and les énergies renouvelables, renewable energy and efficient and efficacité énergétique and energetic efficiency. We have 3 centers in this field, in this area that has been developed where we have delegated the management of the centers to the professionals exclusively. There are two more models I would like to introduce to you, which have not been created yet, but they are on the process of being introduced. A new model of institutes will be also developed. We call them mixed institutes, and made in public-private co-investment, as we call them, and they will be managed by the private sector exclusively again, according to a model of organization and adequate funding, meaning, I explained that you as investors, if ever you want to invest in Morocco, might be offered a piece of land by the government, offered probably technical and financial assistance to equip your center, and you offer the service of training or accompanying the survival of this center. Or you might, for example, buy the land, and the government might equip the center We'll provide you with technical assistance to open your center and provide you with anything you agree with the government to do. It should be done in the, with an agreement document, within an agreement document where you agree with the government to do it the way you please. A third experience or a third model that is expected to be developed is it's based on agreements that will be also signed with accredited private institutes, between the accredited private institutes and the government for the realization of part of the objectives of the training map, covering populations with low income and from India's neighborhoods and rural areas. I explain. If ever you are a private investor in vocational training in Morocco, the government might offer you the opportunity of covering part of the training map that has, if, for example, the training map that we have planned to carry on, meaning the number of trainees we plan to train for 2021 is 1 million, for example, trainees. We might delegate the training of a rate of a percentage, let's say 200 or 500 or 1,000, 2,000 trainees to one of these institutes in a specific field. To make this is always in the sense that we want to make vocational training more accessible to the beneficiaries, since the vocational training has become compulsory for the government to make vocational training more accessible, since it is now a droit constitutionnel, a constitutional right to all citizens, of Moroccan citizens. And thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentations, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. Once you leave the webinar, you will receive a survey on the presentation, and we'd appreciate it if you could complete that and provide your feedback. It's just 3 really quick questions. You will also receive a follow-up email within 24 hours to view a recording of today's webinar. On behalf of UKTI and our presenters, thank you for joining us today, and please do enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Merci. Merci à vous.